reason we are not recording this live here. Okay, we'll later upload maybe. Okay, okay, guys. So, chalo, let's focus on what are the areas you should care about during stand-up. Okay, first one, let's stick with the basics. What generally people say, what you did yesterday. Next, what is the plan for today? Okay. Third, are there any blockers or concerns or support you need from the team? These are the basic three things you have to anyways tell this information because it gives us clarity. Okay, but now this is step one. You do these things, but after that there are few more aspects you have to consider. Okay, now what we said is, let's say if you're working in a agile sprint, there will be some teams where on the beginning of the sprint itself, sprint is the 2 week working cycle, so we work in two week cycle. We already discussed that earlier. So when you are working for, let's say, 2 weeks cycle, okay, now the thing is, as a developer you might get, let's say, 3 user stories. So user stories is nothing but requirement. Okay, so you might get 3 requirements. Okay, now what we are saying is, on the day one of the sprint itself, for all these 3 requirements you should finish a full understanding about the 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 high level requirements, low level requirements. If there are questions, ask it, blah blah blah. Now there are few things as part of that, you will get that clarity, but there are these two important things: open questions and dependencies. Now the point is, you have to daily keep track whether these open questions or dependencies are properly closed or not. Okay, so your mind on a daily basis, you should see, okay, bhai, I have 3 requirements to be finished in the current sprint, and for these 3 requirements I still have open questions. I am waiting from XYZ person to clarify me a few things, or there are these dependencies, it is still not resolved. So you have to track this on a daily basis and raise it in your stand up to everybody कि भाई, these things are not yet sorted, it is not yet clear to me, and if it is not done, I will not be able to deliver my work on time. So you have to, right from the beginning, every single day, raise it to everyone, and then yes, during the day follow up with these people. So whoever needs to answer, try to talk to them, chat with them, get your questions clarified. If required, pull the scrum master, pull whoever leads required, but get your work done. Make sure that all the open questions are clarified, and make sure that if there are any dependencies, it needs to be resolved before you really get into even coding those items. Okay, so it has to happen as early as possible. Many people, what they do is they take only one requirement, and for that requirement they try to clarify, they start working on that. Remaining 2 tickets, they will say, okay, maybe after 3 days I will pick. But if these questions are not answered, that is where last moment surprises will start coming from your projects. Okay, and that is where pressure starts coming up, tension starts coming up. So that is not the right way of working. You should work in a reverse manner. Right at the beginning, look at all of your requirements on which you are supposed to work. Whatever are open questions, clarifications required, dependencies required, on a daily basis, raise it in your stand-up. I'm still waiting, I need support, get these things answered. Plus you, during the day, work so that these things get resolved properly, so that by the time you reach to developing these later on tickets, the questions are already answered and you can very smoothly walk through that. So again, take a personal ownership while you are doing this kind of item. Okay, so this is a very important thing. So stand up may really focus upon this aspect. Okay, now the other one, so this is fine. Apart from this, during the stand up, you need to think from the perspective of even your due date. This is again important, guys. Okay, people are saying, I did this yesterday, I did this is my plan for today. But in your mind, you should always think in terms of deadline. Due date is nothing but deadline. By when you are going to finish your work. Okay. And you should on a daily basis, let's say if you are working on the first ticket, okay, first requirement. So you should tell it to the team, okay, yes, right now I'm working for the first requirement. And maybe on a daily basis it's not required, but after every 2-3 days keep reminding people about that. Okay, so you have to tell ki, okay, the first requirement ideally due date is 2nd of December. Okay, 2nd of December. And right now explain it to the people very properly, how much of the work is completed, and do you think we are on track to finish this requirement by 2nd of December? So in your daily stand-ups, try to really summarize this understanding. Okay, what was the total time required? How much we have completed so far? And are we on track to meet this due date? This really gives a lot of clarity to everybody, okay, whether it will happen or not. Otherwise, people will just say, last day pe jayenge due date, and then they will say, hey, it's not possible, I'm not able to meet, and that causes a lot of confusion in the system. So don't adapt to that. The next important point is look at the deadline by when you are supposed to finish this, and on a daily basis in the stand up, give that kind of update whether you are on track to meet it or not to meet it. Okay, very important thing is. Okay, so due date has to be considered. Okay, fine. Now moving on to the next piece. This is the last area which you have to consider. Okay, you have to connect the feature together. Okay, nothing but UI, server, QA. Many people don't do this in the stand up, and that adds further lot of confusion. Okay, not even some seniors or even scrum masters don't do this role properly, but you have to start doing it because that shows about your clarity in thinking. Okay, now what is required is, yes, you are one of a person in this. Okay, you might be a UI developer or a server developer or a QA developer. But when you represent your status in the stand up, you need to also know what your remaining two people are doing for this requirement. And you can ask questions to them. They can ask questions. That kind of clarity should happen in the stand up. For example, if there is a UI and a server, if you are a server developer, when you come in the morning, yes, you are first telling your status. Ki, bhai, this is what I am doing right now. My plan is server side, everything will be completed by today end of the day. You told that. Immediately, you should ask a question to the UI member. Hey, UI, what are you doing here? How much of the work is completed? When are you planning to pick this ticket? Okay, when should we do the UI server integration? That kind of clarity should start coming in your stand-ups. If it is not coming, it is going to be like a lot of problems in the end. And many people don't do this properly. So you ask these kind of questions to one another so that we understand how others are also progressing with this. Otherwise, what will happen is you will end up finishing your entire work, but the other two people are lacking. And if they are slow, your full feature will not be delivered. And for the client, in the end comes, okay, you are not able to finish this feature. And that's where the problem comes. Okay. So in the stand up, start thinking from all of these three perspectives. Okay, while you guys are coding, ask a question even to the tester. Hey, did you understand the full requirements? Is it fully clear to you? Okay, if he says clear, so when are you going to write the test cases for that? Then check it out the plan with him. If it is not though no plan, so bolna ke bhai prioritize it. And then while he is writing, just even check the date by when you are going to come finish the test cases. So, but be on the driving seat. Don't leave it and don't work like independent pieces together. Many people just look about only their item, but a feature needs to be seen as one piece, not individual pieces. Okay, so you get that maturity so that you can better do it at your role, and that will really help to do great things. Okay, yeah, fine, this is done. And with regards to this third point, are there any blockers, concern, or support required? So guys, really think about this. Okay, my personal recommendation to you guys will be now onwards, right? Every day morning, 6 to 7 a.m., we are doing the morning day planning. Okay, as part of that, take some time out to think about even your work. Maybe the same items. Okay, today I will do this. I am stuck here. I need support here. And that means before you go to the stand up, you should already have some kind of preparation in your mind. Okay, what all things I need actually out of the stand up. So thoda sa go through the thought process and then join the calls and then try to get value out of it. If you directly, not many are doing it. Or I'll tell you, 80% of the people don't do this. They straight away log into the stand up and then try to figure out everything on the fly. And such systems will not get more value. There will be problems because people are not actively thinking, planning, and moving. So my suggestion, if you want to be a player, you need to do some preparation before the stand up so that you make sure that your work happens properly. It's okay, not don't think about entire team, but whatever tasks assigned to you, they are finishing on time without any confusion. Testing is happening, everything is going smooth. Own that piece up, and that is going to be a very high quality which will grow with time so that you can even drive bigger systems together. Okay, so fine, these are some of the areas. Do preparation before stand up and start talking more concrete status during the stand-ups. Okay, this is another suggestion I will give. You talk concrete status, summarize, because people forget what you said yesterday. Okay, so you have to re-summarize it. Right, totally, this is the feature. Currently this much is done. Next, these things we are going to do. So on a regular basis, keep summarizing the overall nature of your work also. That will give clarity to all the listener ki what you are actually doing right now in the system. Okay, so guys, all that comes as part of giving clarity in the morning. That's the stand up. Do this effectively. If you have any concerns, blockers, ask for support. Ki bhai, yesterday I spent a lot of time there, but I somewhere feel it might be a problem for me. So please, I would need this kind of a call to happen, or let's arrange a review or something, because I might need some support there to raise those things early in advance itself, so that some planning can happen for that. Okay, it's simple stuff, but make it a habit. You will start enjoying nicely from your life because of this. Okay, so fine team. This is the stand-up related stuff. Every day morning it happens, and take it forward. Okay. Now let's say your day has started. Let's move on through the day now. While you are developing a requirement. Okay. Now they go how to code. Those things already you have done trainings in your systems, your technology. You know how to write controllers, service, DAO layers, and all that thing. Plus, we took one session where some kind of a framework in terms of how do you write your error handling, how do you arrange your let's say utility classes or service layer arrangement properly, interfaces and implementation classes. Some kind of organization will be there. Security classes will be somewhere. To understand your project package structure. Okay, understand that package structure and try to really abide with that. But now comes the second, how do you start coding? Okay, many people who might claim gap as experience, they might not be aware, and then it really starts becoming big time problem, because this is a day-to-day activity, and since you guys don't know it, it really backfires very badly. Okay, and there will be even some people in their projects itself, they did not get much chance to work. This is an unfortunate situation. Just last week, somebody messaged me on Facebook, and he was saying okay, he's hired as an IT company, but since past now 8 months, they did not give any project to him. He's just on bench, not working on anything. And right now, he's worried. That twist, understand? Right now, he's worried that recession is happening. So what will happen to his job? अरे 8 महीने से sitting empty handed, not doing anything, that's the problem has already happened. So guys, never, okay, you should always keep working, always try to be in some of the project, don't be idle, because on paper your experience will keep growing, but if you are not hands on, your knowledge will not grow, which will cause consequences in a long term future. Just sitting is going to backfire like anything. You need to work, you need to put your brain for complex challenges, then only you evolve. Okay, and that will help you in the long run. So just understand key. So many people don't get the exposure, this is what I'm saying. Now the thing is, how exactly you should take on these branching and basically dev testing kind of phases. I'll just run through it quickly because the working professional definitely know that, but some of them who are with gap maybe or beginners, they might struggle with this. So for them, just trying to touch a few things here. Okay. Let me share my screen. You need to understand branching model. There are multiple things you need to understand. Okay. Branching model. Okay. Next, how does it relate to environments? And this is where so your development will happen along with it. So whatever you develop, you need to understand what is your branching model of Bitbucket or whatever tool you guys are using, Git or whatever. And along with that, how do you do your proper development? And then how do you do the testing basically? Okay, a few things. So let me quickly share screen. Have a quick look of this. Take a second. Yeah. Okay. Sharing the screen back again. Firstly, just have a look on this one. Okay. Again, guys, देखो, project to project, it might change. Okay, project to project, some variations might be there. So, but this is one of a model which many people are following. In my previous projects, I have also followed it, and it really works. It does a lot of good things. Okay, but yes, some deviations might be there, some terminology might be different, but just understand. Okay, for beginners, strikingly it might be a bit challenging, but understand, okay, this is how the coding happens. Okay, so what these are, this is how the branching model is. Okay, now keeping it simple, what is branching model? First of all, you already know the code is going to be available at one central place. Okay, so a team works, maybe 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, they all put the code into one central place. That repository is called as Bitbucket, Git, or like SVN, clear case. So so many names are there. In your project, one repository will be there where the entire code will be managed. Okay, now finally, whatever runs in the production environment, that basically always will be the master branch. So the way the code is organized in that central repository has branching model. There are a lot of branches, and how the development is happening, what goes where, all that needs this understanding of the branching model. And it is basically required for everyone, because accidentally if you work on a wrong branch, that's a problem. If you merge wrong branch, that's a problem. And if you deploy wrong branch on the wrong environment, that's a problem. Everything is a big problem. Okay, so you need to have clarity where to do coding and how to merge all these things together, and you're not supposed to violate those things. These are very strict lines in the system. Okay, now first understand. Okay, first of all, let me even share my notepad. Okay, now how does it work? So there are different branches. Just know it right now. There are multiple branches in the system where your code is going to be finally placed. We say it's in Bitbucket or GitHub or whatever, but inside there will be branches. There is one branch called as master branch. Okay. And generally, whatever code is in the master branch, that code will be deployed in the production environment. Right? So whatever is in the master branch, that code gets taken, deployed in the prod environment. Now, the thing is, while the production system is running, the development team is continuously coding new and new features. Okay. Now, you cannot put it in master. Why? Because these are unstable features. It needs proper development testing, blah, blah, blah. So what generally people do is they have a parallel branch which is cut from master, which is the child branch of master. Terminology wise, it is called as child branch of master. Some people name it as integration branch, or people also call it as development branch. Okay, just a naming. Again, guys, this is a one model which is used in many companies, but there might be a deviation to it. So you understand your project model clearly. I'm just trying to give you a common idea how generally it happens. Okay. So constant development will happen on this integration branch or development branch. Okay. But again, there are few things to be understood. This is, let's say there are 10 people doing development for next sprint. So this stand up has happened, 2 week sprint is happening. There are 10 people doing development for this. Now, while these 10 people are doing, so whenever their full work is completed, they merge or they put their changes into this one single branch. So it's a common branch where all the 10 people is going to put their code together. So, okay, so just understand it is a common branch for called as integration branch where the combined code of the entire team is going to be available, whichever is being developed for the upcoming sprint. Okay, ongoing sprint ka item reka. Now, how you are supposed to work? So generally what happens is every feature that you develop, any new feature, so three requirements are given to you. Any new feature that you are developing, ideally we cut a feature branch from integration branch. Okay, again I'm saying you understand your project might have some deviation, but generally a feature branch needs to be cut. Some people cut that feature branch from master itself, some companies cut or some teams cut that from integration. So understand how you guys are doing in your project. But the thing is, whenever let's say you as a developer is working on a feature, you will cut a feature branch, a new branch, feature branch, maybe as a child of master or integration branch. Okay, and you do your entire development on this feature branch only. Okay, you are not supposed to merge this feature branch to integration branch until it is properly tested. You cannot really take the code there. Okay, there are some strict rules which needs to be followed, and before this feature code is merged to integration branch, proper code review has to happen. So there are disciplines you have to abide with those. Okay, so yes, feature branch is your territory. Even if you do some mess in your feature branch, it doesn't impact the rest of the system. And if there are 10 developers working, ideally 10 feature branches will be there. Everybody works on their own feature branch without interfering with one another. Okay, this is how it works. So you cut a feature branch, you do your entire development. Now let's say there is a UI guy working on this feature, there is a server guy working on this feature. Okay, guys, I have seen for some projects there will be one feature branch for this guy and one feature branch for this guy. Okay, so everybody who works ideally can have their own feature branch for working on a feature. Okay, sometimes now, okay, let's not complicate things, but sometimes for one feature multiple developers might work, like two server guys are working on the same feature. So some companies what they do is they cut only one feature branch and both the developers work on the same branch. Some teams what they do is they create a separate branch for this guy, separate branch for this guy. So sometimes that means on the fly decisions might also be required. So discuss it with your team how exactly you want to do it. Okay, but the key point here is whenever you are starting a feature development, you cannot do it on master, you cannot do it on the central branch. You have to cut a feature branch, and that is where you start your development. Okay, and once you are doing your development here, you do your full development, dev integration like UI server together, trying to work and do the testing, and then everything like dev testing closure should all happen here. Okay, now just understand there are parallelism environments in the system. Okay, again I'm saying company to company, team to team, some variations will definitely come, because now there are dockers also running with multiple systems. In local machines they run dockers, in cloud also they run dockers. So some deviations might come, but again a ideal standard project, okay, a basic standard project will have master going to production environment. Next, integration branch is going to be reserved for, let's say, testing or QA environment. It's nothing but servers. prod server, whatever you might have, okay, tomcats and all of that thing, okay, spring boot library servers and all that. So in production environment, master branch will be deployed. On the testing environment to the tester, integration branch will be deployed. Nothing but your feature branches, avoid directly giving it for testing, okay, because your code needs to be merged into this branch and this branch is going to further go to the master. So there is a cycle. So if you give it like this, your feature branch alone, you need to understand there are 10 developers working together. The QA should test the final product of the 10 developers. So you are supposed to merge your code back to the integration, and then this integration code will be given for the test environment for testing. Okay, so just understand step by step. You start with the development, cut a new branch called as feature branch, start entire development on this branch. Now you, like UI server developers, integrate it, test it, everything, do it properly. And then there could be some systems where in local you do testing, or there could be a dev environment also. There could be a dev environment as well. There could be some Docker containers given to you or directly servers given to you, where there will be a separate dev environment where you can deploy your feature branches and do integration between UI server, and like that you continue with your zone. So cut a feature branch, do the development, deploy it into your dev environment, do the testing properly. If everything is looking good, then raise a merge request, okay, or a pull request, PR people say, to the integration branch. Nothing but you say my code is fully ready, we the full UI server team mixed together worked properly, now the feature is looking good from our side, we want to give the feature for testing to the QA. How does that happen is you raise a merge request, you get your code merged into the integration branch, and from the integration branch your code is going to be deployed on the QA environment, and here these people will do the testing. Okay, these are nothing but just servers. Environment is nothing but set of servers. Okay, it could be whatever servers where your application runs. It would be those kind of, if it is microservices, Spring Boot applications will have their own container, own servers running. So those are nothing but environments. So group of AWS nodes or in-house infrastructure nodes. So there will be some set of machines on that, some servers will be running where your code will be hosted. So accordingly, they will be labeled as production environment, testing environment, and if there could be something, dev environment also. Okay. Now again, step by step, let's walk through what we did. Requirement came for development. Immediately you need to go to the integration branch, cut a feature branch for that, and start doing independent development in your local machines. UI continues separate, server continues separate. Both of them works together, do their own local testing, and then for testing purpose, they can deploy it in the dev environment, and in their local, they can run it via Postman and see via Postman whether the API request response is going good. Unit testing you execute in your local, do all of that, work on this. Once you guys feel that your feature is ready for giving to the tester, then you have to merge your feature code to integration branch, and from the integration branch the code will be deployed on the QA environment for testing. Okay, that's the process. Don't violate it, there will be severe consequences. Confusion will add a lot of consequences. Which branch goes where is critical. Okay, generally DevOps will be there will be streamlined rules for that, but some companies might still, like juniors are there, they don't have a full-fledged defined DevOps process also, they might not have a DevOps resource also. Okay, so in such cases the developers are supposed to take care of all these things, so be careful what you are doing. Okay, your actions could have bigger consequences. Okay, fine. So then you raise a pull request. Okay, and guys, this is where the actual code review is supposed to happen. Before even you give to the tester, a code review phase is going to happen here. Okay, so at least in my project we have locked it. Okay, no code can be directly done on integration branch. Everything which goes to the integration branch has to be code reviewed only. Okay, so this is how we have the standards there, and then the code review will happen. If there are any improvements provided in the code review, the team again fixes it, makes the changes, tests it, and then raises the another update request on that, And finally, the fixed code is going to be merged to integration. Once it goes to integration, then it will be deployed to QA environment, and this is how the QA will do the testing, and then the sign off is going to happen. Okay, so be with it, be with it, understand this, because this is a day-to-day activity for your projects, especially those guys who did not get a working project experience. It will become pretty complicated because you need to really understand, if accidentally you deploy a wrong branch on the wrong environment, people will straight away target you, because these are blunder mistakes. These are not small mistakes. It takes time to build, it takes time to deploy, and I have seen people have done blunders. Feature dev branch, accidentally some projects may development branch was deployed in production. These are blunder mistakes. Okay, it cannot be allowed. Huge consequences might come, penalty might come, business might like be down for a few hours, and it's very risky. Okay, next, which environments, if you're doing database updates, be very clear which environments you are doing updates, because you have multiple database environments also. So you should be very thorough. Accidental mistakes cannot happen. No manual mistakes can happen. Yes, the system will be there, they will protect it properly, but you have to ensure mistakes cannot be allowed at this layer. Maintain that kind of discipline while you are at work. Okay, okay, fine. So all this done, raised it, deployed. Now let's say the entire 2 week cycle people will keep playing here only. Okay, entire 2 weeks, feature develop integrate test, feature develop integrate test, feature develop integrate test. This cycle keeps running. Eventually, as the 2 weeks complete, the entire code will come in the integration branch, which is ready for the next sprint production launch. So all the features, 10 features were there, they all will come to the integration branch. So every developer did it, the QA has done the sign off, and then comes how do you go from this integration branch towards now production cycle. Okay, again, some companies might have variation here, but what generally next step is, from this integration branch they cut another branch called as release branch. Okay, another branch cut as release branch, and it's nothing but, let's say for 2 weeks you develop it. By the end of the sprint, whatever code is in the release branch, from that code they will cut a new checkpoint called as release branch. Whatever code was their integration branch, with that code they will cut a branch called as release, and then take forward. Now this thing, let's understand properly whatever we discussed so far with this diagram, so that things will get more clear. And I think this basic knowledge was required before jumping onto the diagram, otherwise it might add confusion. Okay, now just look at this. There is a master branch which is constantly growing. Okay, this first, the top one is the master branch. It is constantly growing. Okay, it's just going on, and this, from this master, production versions will be deployed. They are calling it as tags. Okay, so generally again people will, like every production deployment that we do, they generally cut a tag, so to maintain a version. Okay, right now which version, which tag is running in the prod environment. Okay, so that is a master branch. Now if you see, from the master branch they have cut a integration branch or a develop branch. So this is what is the second branch that we spoke about, integration branch or a develop branch. That's the second branch. Okay, and just see, the feature branches are cut from the integration branch or develop branch. So let's say there are two features being developed, so accordingly from this develop branch, okay, one guy cut this feature branch, another guy cut this feature branch, and now they are going on developing, committing, developing, committing. They continue with their own cycles. Okay, n number of features can keep running in parallel. Now as soon as the feature is ready, nothing but this state, you guys have developed it, tested it, everything done, you want to give it back. So what you do is you merge this feature branch code back into the integration branch. Okay, this is how it happens. And now there might be a 10 features running, everything will be merged back to the integration branch, and a point will come, okay, where you say Now all the system features are ready for the next sprint. Let's take it to production. So they will cut this release branch, if you see here. So from the integration branch, they are cutting the release branch. Okay, by this code base. So that means when you cut from this point, guys, understand it is all point ka game. If you cut from here, it is different. After that, you have done all of this coding, you're cutting it from here, it is a different state. That means you coded all this, you merged this feature, everything, and from this point you're cutting release. That means everything which is coded and committed till this point in the system, all of that is now going to be gone to a release branch, and from here the UAT process can happen. So generally this is how we are doing it. Okay, so from this state the UAT process is going to happen. To release branch, we deploy it on a fourth environment here. From this release branch, we deploy it on the fourth environment called as UAT, user acceptance testing environment, or people also call it as stage environment. Different names, different aliases, or pre-prod environment. It could be whatever terminologies. Okay. Now from the release branch, it will be deployed there. There the UAT testing will happen. And if there is any bugs or improvement observed in UAT testing, immediately from the release branch, they cut a branch, provide the fix, get the code here. Okay. And that is how we do this stuff. And just see, once this looks good, release branch looks good, it is stable, we get a UAT sign off. The release branch is merged back to the master branch. Okay. So release branch is merged back to the master branch, and then master branch is going to go to production. Okay. Now there are more details about it. There is some more complication about it inside, but let me not touch those things because it might just take a few things. But at least this clarity, okay, why this is happening, there is reasoning behind everything. Everything is logical, everything is needed. Not doing it may consequences will be, because parallelly, even though you might be in UAT, the development is already happening for the next sprint. We don't wait for taking the first sprint to production. We finish one sprint, it is gone for UAT, we immediately start working on the next sprint. There is no gap in between. 2 week cycles continue. So that is where it is important to have this kind of branch. And if there are bugs on this, we don't fix the bugs or integration branch, because integration branch is now having code for the next sprint. So the bugs needs to be fixed on the release branch itself. And then that will be downmerged to the integration branch. Understand? It's having more reasoning behind it. So just as a conclusion, I would suggest, whether you have worked on this environment or not, but branching and which environments you deploy is very critical for the project, and you have to be careful before you do it. Don't mess up, don't take chances, because you might end up like halting your full team. And this was blunder. Some people did not even know how to merge these branches, and what they did, now understand, serious problems could happen, literally serious tension problems. 10 people are working on the feature. Okay. Now let me, very crazy situation, development branch mein there are 10 people who are working together. Okay, let's say 9 people have properly put their code into this development branch. Okay, and you are the 10th person. Juniors generally do such kind of blunders. Okay, 9 people properly merged, nothing, but now in the integration branch it is having feature code for 9 other people. Okay, now let's say from this point you have taken your code and you are working on the feature branch. This guy took the code, he's working on feature branch, and like this 10 other people have taken the code from this point and they are all coding. Now, whenever their work is completed, they are committing the things back to the integration branches. And like this, all the 10 people did, because they are experienced, they are mature, they did the right thing. But you are independently, okay, you are independently continuing with your development. This is you. Aram se chal rahi hai gaadi. Okay, continuing with the development, but before you, so many other people took branch, worked on that, kept it pushing, nothing. But right now, what you are working and what is there in integration, there is a lot of difference. Okay, now it is expected that on a regular basis, you down merge this integration branch also to your feature branches, because otherwise you're working on outdated code. Okay, you need to downmerge this latest integration branch also on your feature branches so that you can properly check with that. Especially important is, before you merge your code from your child branch, feature branch to integration, it's mandatory downmerge required. Now, what some people do is, some conflicts might come while merging and all that drama. What they do is, juniors, they don't know, understand the situation. They take their entire code somehow, because they are not able to resolve the conflicts of 9 other developers. They take their entire code and they completely overwrite it and push it to integration branch. Sometimes this blunder happens. Okay, understand the problem here. 9 people committed the code. This guy is working so much independently, he's not having the code of 9 people, and when he's trying to merge, some conflict is coming. Now this guy is not sure what needs to be done. He takes his entire code and replaces whatever is there in the integration branch, which means the entire work of remaining 9 people, this guy overrides it and pushes. I have literally seen that happening in projects. Complete 2 weeks of work was overridden and demos were lined up, and it was a pretty tough situation. Reverting that and all, it's a big pain. Okay, it was a big pain to revert the things because systems are big. Okay, and it really becomes pretty scary at that time. Okay, like 1 घंटे में demo देना है, branch is not stable, you have to revert back, you have to rebase it from the old one. It includes complication. So without knowledge, don't do it. If you're not sure what is going to happen, discuss it with your team, because this is where the entire game happens of your code going forward. And then yes, eventually it goes through the cycle, it keeps rising up and it goes to the production, and then it cuts a tag. Okay, so this is how the entire basic release cycle goes. You work on feature, you deploy it on dev environment, you do the testing, then you raise for the code review on integration or develop branch. Then once the code is reviewed, approved, then you deploy it on the Q environment. Once that is done properly, then a point comes, all the features of that sprint is completed. You cut a release branch, and from this release branch, UAT or stage deployment will happen, where the stage testing is going to go. By the time stage testing is going, already in the integration branch, you guys are working on the next sprint items also. Okay, so generally the DevOps team takes care of these kind of activities of environment management, of this branch management, branch cutting, and all of that. There will be automated tools via Jenkins. All those pipelines will be set up to do the right thing at the right time. Button click ke basis pe ye sara kaam will be happening. Okay, so all of this work happens, and yes, eventually once there is everything stable, signed off from UAT, then you merge it to the master, and then it is deployed to the production environment. Okay, now we have 3 minutes for the call. I'll touch one more area: hot fixes. Sometimes in production, problems occur. You cannot wait for all of this cycle. Hot fix matlab production mein something has gone wrong, immediately it needs a fix. It has a different approach. You don't follow this kind of model for that. If something is gone wrong in production, straight away from the master branch, you cut a different branch called as hot fix branch, fix it there. Maybe you deploy it in stage environment directly, test it there, get the sign off straight away, and merge directly back to the master and just take it to production. Because hot fix means within, it will come with very sharp SLAs. Do it like in 2 hours, do it in 3 hours, sometimes do it in like 30 minutes. Hot fixes comes with SLAs, tight timelines. They cannot really allow big time delays if it is critical problems. So that is where in this diagram, even you might see these hot fix branches are also there. Directly cut from master, fixed it, ready, merged back to the master, and every merge to the master, they are calling it as one tag. So there is a history maintained about what code pieces are going to the production environment. Okay, so guys, branching is a very solid topic which will be always there in the projects, and I have developed and designed some of the branching model for my projects, so I really know the need of every single up merge and every single down merge. For you guys, I'm just telling, understand the seriousness of it. Don't take it casually, because this can screw up your entire system if done wrong. Okay? So just, I've seen that happening as well. Reversals and all could really become very damaging. Conflict resolution should happen very properly. So be careful. If you get conflicts while you're up merging, down merging, deal with it very carefully. If you're junior, ask your team member to also come and support you in the beginning days for conflict resolution. If you don't know what will happen, don't do. Okay, keep it simple. If you're not sure what is going to happen after you do something, pull somebody else, do it initially together for 1 month, be with someone, and after that start doing it. Otherwise it will be problem. And if you say you have experience, you are supposed to already know all these things, and you cannot make blunder. Freshers say still it could be expected, and people will not even give this branching thing alone to fresher. But when you say you have experience, then you will be expected to know all this and do all these things properly. Okay. Okay, team. So, chalo, that's it. It's 10. Just absorb these two things for today. A branching and environment model. Second one is stand-up related. Okay. We still have more 2 days. Today is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We will take up the Q&A which you guys have raised yesterday. Plus, we have to still talk about the corporate communication also. But yeah, this topic was important, where I felt some of you guys will definitely need it. Okay. So absorb it, guys. Okay, absorb it. Now let me share the attendance, everybody. Okay, guys, based upon this attendance, we are going to issue certificates in the end, and then these guys who are part of this will be added in the inner circle group, where we will do some more closed sessions. Okay, where there is a big plan which will come there. So all the guys who have really consistently attended all the sessions and are there, for them we will do something separately. Okay. So yeah, code for today, attendance code for today is 9898 and pushed. Okay, everybody mark your attendance. Okay, so somebody is asking release branch. So release branch is key. From your integration branch, you cut a release branch, and that release branch is deployed for UAT testing, nothing but stage environment testing. So that's the significance of that. So if any bugs are coming on stage environment, they will be directly fixed on the release branch itself, not on the integration. So you fix it there itself, and because integration is having code of the next release, not which like of the next sprint basically. Okay. Next, Krishna is asking like how many projects upload on single repo as a private. Generally, every repo is going. Okay, every repository talks about one service. Okay, like in my project or in many projects, there are like 50 plus services, 100 plus services. Okay, there will be 100 plus repositories. Okay, and each repository talks about one piece of code. We are not trying ki same repository may to include multiple projects. It becomes tough for maintenance in a long run. Okay, so if you have multiple projects, I would suggest create a separate repository for each of the project and have a maintain its own this branching model for each of it. Okay, it becomes easy for maintenance. And generally, yes, all the repositories has to be private only. Your repository should not be public. It's client repository. Accidentally, I've even saw that happening. While creating repository, people made it as public, and the client was like, "Hamara code public kar diya, pagal ho gaye." That's the problem. Okay, so the repo has to be a private repo only. Okay. Okay. There is a question: how do we handle production issue? Okay. So let's go. Different teams will have a different process for that. Generally, a production support team is going to be there, which directly interacts with the live customers. So somewhere in the live environment, you will know something has gone wrong in production from multiple sources. Okay, one source could be there is a direct live customer support team. Whenever there is a problem which the real world people face, they straight away raise an email or contact the customer support team or call them, and then they know कि, oh, so and so customer is facing some problem. That is one source from where the data will be collected and given back to the internal system. That's one source. Other thing could be you continuously keep monitoring Kibana or those kind of logs. Log churning tools will be there. So you continuously keep monitoring them. If there is any problem like exceptions coming, 500s coming, timeouts happening, something not working as expected, there will be a proper monitoring and alerting setup in the system. They will give notifications via emails or Slack or Teams or some kind of triggers, mobile alerts, SMSs, whatever you guys have configured. It will tell when there is a problem. Okay, there will be sometimes, if in production environment, it completely depends on setup. If in production environment your disk is running high or your CPU is running high, there will be thresholds and alert setup for that as well. If 80% your RAM is touching multiple times, it will be raising an alarm. So from these multiple sources, proactively also plus customer complaints also, there will be a channel from which this production queries will be coming into the system. So ideally, for many teams, there is a separate production support team, which is separate than the development unit. Separate guys are hired for doing prod support. Their work could be 24/7 support in batches and iterations. These guys work. But again, it depends. If your project is not allowing that kind of billing, so maybe one developer itself on a rotational basis might be on support also. So it completely depends. Okay? But due to some reason, yeah, so there will be some support required. So whenever, okay, and now key things about support. As soon as a query comes to you, it will come with a deadline, and the deadlines are fast. Deadlines are like half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. More than four, it's a big problem. Okay, 8 hours deadline is a big problem. Missing those SLAs is a big concern. Okay, so you have to be really very proactive. So whoever from wherever the issue is coming, so they will tell also okay, what priority or severity it belongs into. Accordingly, you guys have to act. Higher severity tickets should be acted first, lower should be acted later. Now, how do you do it? First, you study it. You try to replicate that behavior on the stage environment, non-prod environment. See that whether that issue is coming for one of a customer or it's generically a feature broken. So you can do your own testing on stage environment. Try to really debug and understand first, okay, what is the problem? Is it for one person? Is it for everybody? You have to do testing. You have to become a tester also, guys. It's not a separate job. Okay, guys, do you know this fact? Okay, in many companies, अभी इंडिया में ये culture is not there, but in many European companies there is no tester position. They don't hire testers. Developer itself is doing testers there. Okay, some of our clients were saying कि भाई India में why do you have this kind of culture where there is a separate tester? We don't need testers. This is how their culture is growing, and slowly it will even come to our Indian society. Okay, already in the market there is huge vibe कि manual testing is going to very much slow down. Automation testing के ऊपर पूरा focus चल रहा है. Hire somebody only of automation testing. ठीक है, but you have to play a tester role also. So whenever a feature problem comes, you try to reproduce it on the stage environment. Okay, try to see what's working, what's not working, narrow down the problem first. Once you understand the problem, immediately start debugging it via logs, via whatever. Look at the code, look at the log, try to anticipate what's going wrong. And as soon as you know the root cause, okay, if you're not able to finish it in quick time, reach out to other team members for help. Try to think from multiple angles, but root cause, you have to be like, meter is already up. As soon as the ticket came, it came with a high SLA. You have to act fast, fix fast. Not able to do that will have bigger consequences, which you don't even know, but there will be business impact and consequences. So if you are not able to fix, get more people involved, but somehow root cause has to be analyzed immediately. You have to fix that on the first stage environment. Again, from the master branch, cut a hotfix branch, develop it, make the changes. And again, guys, without root cause, don't change the code. Many people do this problem. Are kuch samajh raha nahi, what is the problem? Let's make some change. And guys, even after that you deploy, the problem is still there. Okay, so don't do that. Root cause analysis is very first step for any bug, whether it's production or QA. You should know why it is not working. Is it one person or many people? And then you take a hot fix, you apply the fix there, you redeploy on stage, check whether it's working properly, get your QA involved, make them quickly test it, and accordingly merge it to master. Now comes another question. Can you immediately deploy this in production? Because downtime might be required at times. Okay, hot fixes might not be ready for deploying immediately. Sometimes if it is a burning problem, customer might say, let's go, let's deploy right now. We are okay to have some downtime. Okay, and but there will be bigger systems which is zero downtime systems. There will be like blue green deployments there. Nothing but both systems will be up. They will deploy on one system. Okay, they will test everything here. So okay, how does this systems work? First, from the public perspective, there are multiple nodes. From public perspective, they will redirect the traffic only to one set of nodes. So these other nodes will be open only for internal testing. It's in production, but only for internal testing. That's how blue-green deployments happen. Then you deploy only here. You use your domains, you do this testing properly. Live system is still up and running because the customer traffic is routed via CDN to a different node system. And then you do this entire testing here. And after that, this is done. You see everything is good. You redirect the traffic back here. By that way, zero deployment will happen. So systems have to go to that kind of zero deployment stage as well. Okay, big systems always run with zero downtimes, but small systems may problem rahega if they don't have that kind of load balancer backed up with multiple services. So there will be concern. So then you have to again decide, can we deploy it right now? Don't deploy without approvals. Production may anything needs approvals. Who is deploying? Why it is deploying? Those stamping is mandatory, because if you deploy without confirmation, it could risk your job also. It could risk your job, it could risk a lot of things in money. Penalties happen, guys, because of these things. Okay, so and I have seen penalties happening, like lakhs of rupees gone from one company to other company because people did not do the right thing. Okay, so it happens, it happens. Fine, so then you decide whether a hotfix needs to be deployed or we need to deploy tomorrow morning in a low peak hours, maybe in the morning time. I still remember this was fantastic. Okay, a few years ago there was a production deployment we were doing, and business ne bola tha ki bhai new year ke din, as soon as 0000 happens, then this feature will be launched. And the entire world was having a new year celebration, and पूरा का पूरा हमारा 20 लोगों का team was in office. चलो 00 पे we have to turn this feature to the live customer. It was a new year party at office. So it was a different time. So these off peak hours and all these things will be there. So agree on that and accordingly take it forward. Okay, so okay guys, you will understand, you will learn a lot through the industry, but just be aware. Things could get risky if you are not aware and unknowingly doing things then. Okay, and that causes problem for the people. Okay, so chalo, thank you everybody for this time, and see you guys tomorrow morning 6 a.m. again, and happy to be along. Keep pushing yourself, guys. Growth is the only way forward. Tough times are there, recession, layoffs and all you might be hearing from the market. To some extent Indian market maybe already some things are happening. Okay, but be good, and industry always needs good people. Just keep that in mind. That's it. Okay, so chalo, thank you all and take care of yourself, guys. See you guys later. Chalo, thank you all. Bye bye.